Violent protests, you see that car ramming into a group of protesters who had come into the streets to protest a white nationalist rally expected to take place in Charlottesville tonight. The mayor of Charlottesville has now tweeted that at least one person has died in these protests. We're not sure if it was a result of that ramming by the car, but we do know a lot of chaos broke out on the scene right there, and some leaders of the rally tonight have called for the protesters to go home. As I said, President Trump is expected to speak momentarily in Bedminster, New Jersey. He's also going to sign a Veterans Affairs Act, and the president has already tweeted on this saying, "We all must be united and condemn all that hate stands for. There is no place for this kind of violence in America. Let's come together as one." Eva Pilgrim, these protests did get violent there in Charlottesville, and now the mayor has come out saying, "I am heartbroken that a life has been lost here. I urge all people of goodwill to go home." Eva?
That's right, George. We're here at that intersection. You can see sort of what's the aftermath of all of this. No one is here. Those two cars were hit in the process of this accident. This silver two-door car that came barreling down, came from that hill, going that direction, hit the car. Those protesters, those counter-protesters, had been split off. They came together into one group. They had a moment where they celebrated meeting up with each other, and that's when that car came down the hill, plowing through those people. The witnesses that we have spoken to say the car just went through like it was cutting through like a wave, like the water, and people were just flying out of the way. Many of the people we spoke to say they jumped and pushed to get out of the way. When we first got down here, George, or walking through the crowd, we could see people on the ground laid out being treated, people wrapping up their legs, friends trying to help other friends, law enforcement, medics asking people, are there any people around you hurt? And people raising their hand and calling for help. Now you can see the aftermath, just how many people were down here. All of that stuff, that's the stuff those people had that they just dropped on the ground and left behind after this happened. I could see that crowd from a distance. We weren't right down here as it happened, but I could see there were a lot of people in this area as that car came barreling through.
Just a horrific scene in Charlottesville, Virginia. Eva Pilgrim, thanks very much. Want to keep an eye on Bedminster right now, where the president is about to speak. I'm here with Cecilia Vega, our senior White House correspondent, as well. As I said, Cecilia, the president has already tweeted on this. The First Lady has also spoken out.
Yeah, and there's some controversy in this, George, because the First Lady was the first person from the White House to tweet about this. There was a delayed response, many are saying, from President Trump himself. In fact, he faced some heat from Charlottesville's mayor, who said, "Our work here is just beginning, yours is too," sort of implying that there was some delayed speech there. Looks like the president's coming up.
Here comes the president.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, this was a small press conference, but a very important one, and it was scheduled to talk about the great things that we're doing with the Secretary on the Veterans Administration, and we will talk about that very much so in a little while, but I thought I should put out a comment as to what's going on in Charlottesville. So, again, I want to thank everybody for being here. In particular, I want to thank our incredible veterans, and thank you, fellas. Let me shake your hand.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. President.
Great people. They're great people. But we're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides. It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. This has been going on for a long, long time. It has no place in America. What is vital now is a swift restoration of law and order and the protection of innocent lives. No citizen should ever fear for their safety and security in our society, and no child should ever be afraid to go outside and play or be with their parents and have a good time. I just got off the phone with the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, and we agreed that the hate and the division must stop, and must stop right now. We have to come together as Americans with love for our nation and true affection, really, and I say this so strongly, true affection for each other. Our country is doing very well in so many ways. We have record, just absolute record employment. We have unemployment, the lowest it's been in almost 17 years. We have companies pouring into our country, Foxconn and car companies and so many others. They're coming back to our country. We're renegotiating trade deals to make them great for our country and great for the American worker. We have so many incredible things happening in our country. So when I watch Charlottesville, to me, it's very, very sad. I want to salute the great work of the state and local police in Virginia, incredible people, law enforcement, incredible people, and also the National Guard. They've really been working smart and working hard. They've been doing a terrific job. Federal authorities are also providing tremendous support to the governor. He thanked me for that. And we are here to provide whatever other assistance is needed. We are ready, willing, and able. Above all else, we must remember this truth. No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first. We love our country. We love our God. We love our flag. We're proud of our country. We're proud of who we are. So we want to get the situation straightened out in Charlottesville, and we want to study it. And we want to see what we're doing wrong as a country where things like this can happen. My administration is restoring the sacred bonds of loyalty between this nation and its citizens. But our citizens must also restore the bonds of trust and loyalty between one another. We must love each other, respect each other, and cherish our history and our future together. So important. We have to respect each other. Ideally, we have to love each other. And now to the Veterans Administration, where I'm so proud of David Shulkin and the job you've done, what you've done in such a short period of time. I think you folks would attest to it. If anybody disagrees, you can leave the room right now. But David really has. He's a star, what he's been able to do. So, David, I'd like to thank you very much for your leadership and for the profound improvements to the VA services that you've made in such a short period of time.
And the president now going to speak about that Veterans Employment Act that he's about to sign this afternoon. As he does that, I want to bring back in our senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega. The president coming out there calling for a swift restoration of law and order in Charlottesville, the protection of innocent lives. And then he went on to condemn the hatred, bigotry, and violence. And this was the curious part of what he said on many sides.
Yeah, and George, you know, a lot of people will be looking to the president to outright condemn this vile, disgusting scene that we have seen unfold on the streets of Charlotte. We have heard neo-Nazis shouting racial epithets out there. We have seen some very, very ugly, hate-filled language over the last day, yes, between last night and this morning. And frankly, you know, tweets like from a former KKK leader, David Duke, today calling on directly to the president, saying, I would recommend you take a good look in the mirror and remember it was white Americans who put you in the presidency, not radical leftists. So President Trump is under some pressure here to come down hard on this, particularly of communities of color who have felt that he has not taken a strong enough stance during his campaign, in his time in office, to distance himself from white nationalists and many of this alt-right white nationalists who have been supportive of him, George.
You see these graphic scenes from the streets of Charlottesville right now. The mayor of Charlottesville said at least one person has died in these protests. We're not sure it was a result of this quite graphic car ramming that we saw earlier. You see those beatings earlier as well. As Cecilia Vega pointed out, this was started by white nationalist rally planned for tonight. They were protesting the taking down of a Confederate statue in Charlottesville. Counter-protesters have come into the streets. That has led to the clashes as well. The president did say he's spoken with the Democratic governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, and he said he and the governor agreed that we must come together with love and affection for each other. We have not seen much love and affection on the streets of Charlottesville today. We're going to stay on top of this. Cecilia, you'll be back with much more on World News Saturday coming up in just a couple of hours, and I'll see you tomorrow on This Week. Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.